Roll call, please.
Blackstock.
Here.
Blair.
Here.
Horn.
Here.
Pat Salas.
Here.
Boda.
Here.
Town here. Simons.
Here. All present. Kathy, would you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is approving the agenda as presented. Does anybody have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, if there's none, I'll make the motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported that we approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Moving on to the approval of the minutes of June 5, 2017.
I've got a question on that.
Okay,
If you look at the member comments on the back of the sheet, I don't know if it was just, Treasurer Boyd asked that the no parking sign along M29 curb be removed. That should have been, I don't know if I said that or by mistake, but it should be no driving signs. Those little signs
on the shoulder,
where there's no shoulder, you shouldn't be
because it's all
driving.
curb.
Yeah, it's all curb and gutter.
Okay. So no driving on shoulder?
There's no shoulder.
I was wondering about that.
But the no parking, that might have been my mistake when I brought that up, I'm not sure.
Okay. I know you've brought that up before, and we've talked to him about it. Okay, well, I haven't talked to, whatchamacallit on it yet. Okay, is there any other
That's all I have.
corrections? If not, a motion would be in order to accept the,
I'll make a motion that
The
we approve
minutes.
the minutes of June 5th, 2017, as presented with the changes.
I'll support.
it's been moved and supported that we approve the minutes of June 5, 2017. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have public comment. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to talk about anything that's not on the agenda? And we're all on the agenda. Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda, we have C1, the May 22nd, 2017 Zoning Board of Appeals minutes. We have the C2, May 2017 Investment Income Report. C3 is the May 2017 Revenue and Expenditure Report. C4 is the May 2017 St. Clair Fire Report. C5 is the June 7th, 2017 Historical Commission Minutes. C6 is the June 14th, 2017 Park Commission Minutes. Does anybody have any questions on any of that? If not, a motion to accept the consent agenda.
If there's nobody got any corrections on them, I'll make the motion that we accept the consent agenda as received for
Support.
June 19th.
Okay, it's been moved and supported that we accept the consent agenda as presented. No further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to disbursements, we have invoices of $178,980.12. We have accounts payable of $38,934.84. We have a payroll of $679.69. We have a payroll direct deposit of $25,873.54. We have EFT payments of $11,401.61. And we have a tax account of $625.30, for a total disbursement of $256,495.10.
I'll make a motion that we pay the disbursements of $256,495.10.
I'll support it.
It's been moved and supported that we pay the bills in the sum of $256,495.10. Is there any further discussion?
Blackstock.
Hearing none, roll call, please.
Blackstock,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Horn,
Yes.
Pat Sallis.
Yes.
Hoda,
Yes,
Town, yes, Simons.
Yes, motion carries. Moving on to new business, we have the resignation of Connie Miano from the Beautification Committee. I'll read what she's got here when I get to it. It's June 1, 2017. Please accept my resignation from the Beautification Committee effective June 20th, 2017. It was a pleasure to help my community. Parks are our gem for all. Connie Miano. She was on the board from 2010 to 2017. I hate to lose Connie, but she's got other things she's going to be doing, so
I'll make a motion, we accept the resignation of Connie Miano from the Beautification Committee with regrets.
I will support with regrets.
okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the resignation. Is there any further discussion?
Yes,
they
I'd
could write
like
her
to.
a
I
letter.
was on the beautification commission with them, and she was one of the best workers we had. It's a shame that we're gonna
Oh,
lose
very
her.
nice person. Very,
Yes.
very nice.
Very nice.
Anybody else?
I'm sorry to see her go also.
Yeah.
She was a pleasure to work with.
All right, so no further discussion on the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Just to put it out there on this, if there's anybody that would like to be on this beautification committee, we're down to 3 members now. We need some help, so if not, we're gonna have to do something with the committee. I don't know what direction the board wants to go on it, but 3 people, I don't know. What did we have before, like 5
We
or
had
6?
5. We had
Yeah,
5 at one
five.
time.
But we don't have to address that, but anybody that would like to get on that, we would love to have you. All right, moving on to new business 2, request 2017 St. Clair County Parks and Recreation allocation of $16,207.09. What that is that's part of our millage money for the park. We have the park chairman here. Is this the letter too? Is this what we're talking about too, the letter? Or what you want to spend the money for? That's what,
I think it's in the back here.
To replace the utility vehicle?
they want to purchase a Kubota utility vehicle. It's in your packet there. Excuse me. But that's the park's decision to do what to do with the money. We're just accepting it as, we had to go through the procedures.
I spoke to Mark Brochu at St. Clair Parks, and that's a appropriate thing to do. You know, there's certain things that you can use that money for and some things that you can't. And, the one that we've had since 2010 has had a lot of issues, a lot of things go wrong with it, so this one's been very well researched and
Been a repair shop more than it's been working, hasn't it?
what?
It's been a repair shop more often than it's.
It has been, yeah.
It's been about the first 3 years of its life with the dealer,
Are you trading that in?
yes.
You're trading it in?
I'll make a motion that we accept the county millage disbursement in the amount of,
I'll support.
whatever our amount is, $16,207.09.
Okay, it's been moved and supported that we accept that $16,207.09. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we move on to Stewart, Bovee, and Whipple and the audit review.
Thank you very much. I'm Scott Hoskins, principal at Stuart Bovane Whipple. We've completed our audit some time ago, and we issued the report. I think we had some conflicts, maybe not being able to get to a meeting to make this presentation, but I'm here tonight. I passed out an outline, which is just a brief summary of the things I want to go over. I don't generally follow the outline very well, but it's there for you just to reference. I'll start out and go through the financial statement, the bound document that we received. First, I'll say that these are your financial statements. We prepare them, as a service to you from your trial balances. So that's how the financial statements end up getting in this condition. Our part of this is the auditor's opinion, which is on pages 1 and 2, and it's on our letterhead. If you turn to page 2, at the top of the page, you'll see in the first paragraph, this is the opinions on all the opinion units that you have. And it's a unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion you can receive, a clean opinion on your financial statements. The rest of the report goes into the required supplementary information, what we're required to do as far as evaluating it, and what our report is on that information, which is the management discussion and analysis, the budgetary comparison schedules, and those pension schedules, which, as we go through the statements, I'll show you where those are at. And then the supplementary information, that's all the information after the required supplementary information on the non-major funds, all those combining statements on the, I'll say, smaller funds that you have, okay? Beginning on page 3 and going for the next pages through 7 is that management and discussion that I was talking about. And this just gives you a brief overview of how the financial statements are put together and organized. And it gives you a summary of some of the key information in the financial report. It's just a good starting point for you just to get a little bit familiar with the organization and to give you very summarized information on the annual results. And then on page 8, we have, this is the government-wide presentation, the statement of net position or balance sheet. And this basically is, broken into governmental activities, business type activities, and then the component unit, the sewer and water authority. So your governmental activities are all your governmental funds, your general fund, the township improvement fund, building inspection fund. All those end up getting combined, and then what we do is we actually convert them to the full accrual basis. So you have all your capital assets are reported here. And then any long-term debt associated with the governmental activities is reported into here. So your net position is the difference between, assets, deferred outflows, net of liabilities and deferred inflows. It's your equity for the governmental activities, essentially. And you can see the total net position here is $2,550,968. And then it's broken into various categories. Now, a lot of that is tied up in your property, the capital, and that's what the net investment in capital assets is. And then there's some restricted amounts. These are externally restricted parts of the equity, and then the unrestricted that's the amount that basically has no restrictions. But you operate more or less on the fund level, then I'll go through the funds, but I just wanted to bring this up and point it out to you. The business type activities, that is essentially just your water and sewer fund that get combined up front for the government-wide presentation. And as I said, the component unit column is the water and sewer authority. All right, and then on page 9 and 10, this just shows the operations for the government-wide presentation. So in this statement, it would have, all the expenses, like depreciation expenses reported here, versus in your governmental funds, you would report what you actually spent for the capital in the, the year of acquisition. So anyway, I won't go into a lot of detail here because you really operate and look at, on a budgetary basis, the governmental funds, which start on page 11. If you see there, we have The general fund is presented as the first column there, and then the other major fund you have, governmental fund, is your township capital projects fund. And if you look down toward the bottom of the page, you can see fund balance, your equity, and you can see that your general fund had ending equity of $1,308,049. So that's that, and most of that is unassigned, which means that's what you carry over into the year you're currently operating in. And then you look at the township capital projects fund, it ended up with its equity for the year at $395,128. Okay. If you flip over to page 13, you can see the operations for the year for these two funds. And just moving down toward the bottom of the page, you can see your net change in fund balance for the general fund. You added $142,263 to your general fund in 2016. Now, in the Township Capital Projects Fund, you actually reduced your fund equity by $676,216. And most of that was because of a transfer you made to the sewer fund, to fund that, what is it?
The RBCs, is that what?
Yeah, thank you. So that 770,577 that transferred to other funds, that was the transfer that was made to the sewer fund. Okay. Flipping over to page 15 and 16, this is the statement of net position for your proprietary funds and also for the DPW fund. So you have a separate column for each of those operations. And the page 15 shows basically the assets and deferred outflows, and then on page 16, the liabilities, deferred inflows, and net position. I know this is I'll go through, I guess, some of the components here. The net position, you can see you have total net position of $4,945,241 for the water fund, and that's broken out into two categories. One is the net investment in capital assets, which is all the capital that is basically the net book value at this point in time of, the water plant and so forth, and all the equipment associated with the water fund. And then there's any debt that was used to, I guess, fund that, finance that construction of the plant and the equipment that is capitalized. So that debt is offsetting that net book value, and that's what the $5,217,796 represents. So that basically is tied up in that plant, a water plant, and equipment. And what happens is that the balance of the equity turns out to be a negative. So you have unrestricted a deficit of $272,555. And I just want to point out, that's not, you'd like obviously to have all positive positions, but you have to remember there is that, the net pension liability that was implemented last year and added a significant liability to your sewer and water fund, and so that's the reason that you're, I guess, generating this negative net position. Now, the state allows you to have a negative net position as long as your total net position is positive, which is the case in your situation, and as long as you have current assets exceeding your current liabilities. It's demonstrating that you're generating, I guess, sufficient cash to operate the water plant. And I know, I'll go through the sewer fund, and then we'll talk about the operations, because I know you're concerned about, whether you have sufficient rate structure to meet the operations for these two funds. And I'll get into that with you in a minute. I just want to go through the sewer fund is similar situation. They have a net investment in capital assets of $6,683,690. And they also, this year, I think, was the first year they actually went into that deficit position, and they have a negative 25,596 in brackets for them. So now I'll turn over to the next page, page 17, and this shows the operating statement for the water and sewer fund. And I'll focus on a couple things. I already talked about you have current assets exceeding your current liabilities, so that's a positive thing. if you look at your operating, operation for the water fund, you can see you have an operating loss of $373,730. But part of that is, I mean, if you add back depreciation, which is essentially a non-cash item, you know, that you have to run through your operating statement annually, it reduces the amount of that negative. It still is negative. I think you add back here, I have on my outline, it's at 77,275. So you have your operating loss, adding back depreciation, is still in a negative by 77,275. The prior year, it was actually, after that add back, a positive 87,353. So you see you have, I guess, lost some ground, I guess, but I remind you that we have that net pension liability is one of the factors that is run through this on an annual basis. It's updated.
Where is it showing that pension liability?
Well, it's on the balance sheet.
It's farther back, isn't it?
Nope, it's actually, if you flip back to page 16, you can see it on the long-term liabilities, less current portion, the bottom line on that, in that category is net pension liability, and for the water fund, it was 248,817 is what the liability was.
What line are you reading from, Scott?
I'm on page 16, and if you go just below the middle of the page, under long-term liabilities,
Yep,
less
I
current
did.
portion, the last line of that list of liabilities is the net pension liability. And the amount in the water fund is 248,817. Okay.
Scott, this was from December 31st, correct? of
Yes, yeah,
2016?
yeah, so it's 5 months ago, yeah.
Okay. So at that point, has that been a year then that we've had since we've changed over on our water billing? Would it be about a year?
Yeah.
I think this was the first full year you had those rates in place, I guess. And I think you changed them in 15, in mid-15 or something like that, I believe. Yep. And I guess what I want to point out is you have these, looking at things, main thing is look at your cash. I mean, you want to make sure that the cash is not, and right now it's been fairly stable. If you look at your cash flow statement, that's on page 18. If you look at the net decreased cash, you increased your cash, but I want to point out a lot of that was just you're taking money out of your investments and putting it into the cash. But I would focus on that cash balance, and if you see that cash going down significantly, you don't want to get to that point. You want to monitor it, so if you start seeing the cash flows decreasing, it's probably time to look at those rates and
So you're saying
challenge
that
them.
line, cash and cash equivalents at the end of the year, is that the?
Well, throughout the year. I mean, as you go through the year, I mean, you should understand, I guess, at certain points when you have higher cash flow needs. I mean, obviously, you need payments for your debt service and things of that nature. But if you look through a period where you should be seeing just normal operations and you're seeing your cash going down, you probably need to take a look at those rates and see if maybe and you've been good, you generally increase those rates one or every other year, I guess, to stay on top of it. Small increases, I think, are much better, to stay on top of that and not allow you to get behind and where you have to, run through a larger increase, which obviously is not good politically. The constituents are not going to be too happy about that. And but I do think it's important to stay ahead of it. And it looks like you are. I mean, I'm at December 31. I don't know if, how it is right now. I can't say now in June whether that's still the same. But that's what I recommend, is that you look at your cash and make sure that cash is staying relatively stable.
So which line should I be looking at all the time?
It would be in your general ledger, Larry.
Okay.
I mean, and it's something, you should look at that cash balance and just make sure that the cash looks like it's staying relatively stable, I mean, at year end of December 31, you had, I'm flipping back to page 15, you had $464,507 in cash in the water fund, in the sewer fund, $727,186. So that's what I would focus on that. If you start seeing that balance starting going down, then I think you need to take a look at rates. Is there any more questions on the water and sewer fund? I know that's just a really quick overview, but, all right. On page 19 is the statement of fiduciary position. You have an OPEB trust fund. That's what I want to, again, you made a discretionary contribution of $50,000 into that trust this past year, which is good. Just try to keep that funding that. So you increased your equity there to $359,458. I'll quickly go through. I see I'm losing you, but the next section is the note disclosures, and most of this stuff is just being updated. I did want to point out on page 26 there are fund balance classifications. I won't go through those, but that's there to just explain what the different fund balance classifications are. You don't have all of them. You have a non-spendable and the restricted and the unassigned in your general fund, so that's there for your information. On page 27, there are some new accounting pronouncements, which this is the same as last year. These have been coming out for a number of years. There will be an implementation of the GASB 74 standard next year. That's when that comes due. That's going to affect probably just the OPEB trust fund, which we just went over. Maybe some tweaking of the presentation to that, and also some additional disclosure and some additional required supplementary information that you'll have to put into the report related to the retirement health care. And then in 18 is when there's the big transition, similar to the net OPEB liability or net pension liability. You'll have to actually bring onto the balance sheet the net OPEB liability in 18. So we'll get to that, and I'll show you what that's going to be. Quite a large increase. I mean, it'll get spread between the various funds that have payroll that are going to be paying for that obligation in the future. It gets allocated based on the payrolls by each component, so it gets spread quite a bit. Most of that, a lot of that gets spread over actually to the authority. Because that's where a lot of your payroll is allocated to. So, pages 29 gets into investments and what is allowed and so forth. I wanted to point out, I forgot to mention, you note 2 on page 27, you have the budgetary note that's required to be presented. Basically goes through what has to be done as far as adopting and amending the budget and so forth, and what legal level you maintain your budget. Well, you didn't have any overages. That's what I wanted to get out, is that, so you didn't have any non-compliance with Act 621 this year, and so that's good. They did change the rules on that a little bit. They require now 2 levels, 2 tiers, so you can still be over to a certain degree as long as you meet their 2 levels of requirement and still not report an overage. Well, you met that, and so there's no overages this year for your financial statement, or to have to report to the state when they, when we issue the audit to the state. Let's see. I don't know how much detail you want me to go through. The net OPEB obligation. I just wanted to, if you look on page 44, you can see that you have an actual accrued liability, which we assisted with you last year and determined it to be $1,147,728. So that's what is out there now as of December 31, 2015. So that's what you're looking at, I guess, in total. It'll be different, obviously, in 18 when it's actually implemented that standard, but that, somewhere in the area of $1 million to $1.5 million, I estimate that that's what's gonna end up getting on the balance sheets and allocated to the various, components. And, let's see, the concentration disclosure, that's presented on page 45, and that just indicates how much, of a concentration DTE represents to the township. It gives percentages and how much property taxes they provide, various revenues for the wastewater treatment and water funds. So it's a significant, obviously, to your operation. And the other documents, is there any questions about the financial statements? I guess let me just, okay.
I have a question about MERS.
Uh-huh.
They upped our percentage from 21.5, I think, to 26.5. They're recommending that we go to, and that's just to maintain where we're at.
Okay.
In order to start getting ahead on it, they're recommending that we go to increase our payment on our own to 30%. Do you think that's something that the board should look at?
I mean, it's up to you. I think MERS does a good job now of giving you guidance of what it would take to get to certain funding levels. That's provided now in their actual report, which they just started doing the last couple of years, I think. You can look at it and just decide, well, I can't afford 30%, maybe I can afford 23% or something like that. I mean, anything is,
Well,
you
we're
have
at
to fund it, you have to
26
fund
right
it anyway. Right now, the actuarial determination is what you needed to put in, and what is required, that 21%, did you say it was?
Well, we're at
25%.
We were at 26 in April. They moved us. We were at 21, and in April they moved us to 26, mandatory.
Right,
And
Yeah.
everybody is different, each municipality,
Right.
depending on your unfunded liability.
that's right.
Well, ours is pretty high.
Yep.
And what they were suggesting in that letter was that if we went to 30%, that I believe it's over 20 years, we would pay that down,
Right.
that $3 million that's growing.
So all I can tell you is that obviously you have to make the required contribution, so it's at 20.
Well, that's the required, the 26%.
Yeah, so you'll have to do that, and I guess you'll have to just look at what
All right,
you
I'll
can
bring that
afford
up
in
at
your
a future
budget, if it
meeting
makes
then,
sense for you to make.
Let me ask you, if we can afford to do it and we can do it, would you recommend that we do it?
Yeah, probably. I mean, you're at a pretty low percentage, I guess, your funding percentage is at 50%, I think, as I thought. Let me look, I have it right here. I think that's what I remember, is that's, it's actually presented in the audit. Yeah, you're actually about 60%, so 59.8%. So, I mean, there's a lot of governmental units that are less than that, but there's a
Yeah, but
lot,
there's a
there are a
lot
lot
that
that are over it. I mean, you're in the middle, I'd say. Yeah,
But
I
isn't
mean,
ideally 80% is the target they're looking for?
well, probably 100%, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's an obligation you have to pay at some point, I guess. You just have to make a decision as a board, when it makes sense to increase it. If you have a break and, you think you can afford to put a little extra in a given year, then I would suggest that you try to do that. I mean,
We'll bring
and a
that
little
up
bit's
at a
gonna
future
help.
meeting.
I mean, this year we had they increased the discount, or they reduced the discount rate from 8.25% to 8%. So,
I thought it was 7.75.
no, I think it went from 8.25% to 8, I believe. And, but they had a good year with their investments, the stock market was pretty good. So at year end, I mean, that also kind of offset, I guess, that reduction in the discount rate. That's a crapshoot. Every year, you never know where the market's gonna be and how that's gonna affect everything. And, there's just so many factors that go into that estimate. It's, but yes, I mean, I would take a look at it if you can. I think it's good for MERS to give you some guidance in what it will take, I guess, to get to, the funding level that, I think it's to fully fund it, isn't it? In 20 years, if you meet, that's what they're saying right now, if you made at a level 30%, each year they'll reevaluate it and make a redetermination of that to see if it's still on track or not, but I think it's a
If interest
good,
rates start to fall, we're gonna get further behind,
yeah,
so.
right, right. Is there anything else on the financial statements? The back has more detail on the non-major funds. I wasn't gonna go through that unless you wanted me to. I'll just go briefly, there's two other documents that are provided. The independent auditor's report on internal control. So there's the one matter on you not having the capability on staff to basically prepare your financial statements. So that's a common deficiency with most governmental entities. They don't have that, and they rely on their auditors to, as a service to actually prepare your financial statement. The other document is the audit communication letter, and this is a required communication to the board. It summarizes the results of the audit. It goes through what was significant to this audit. This year, we did adopt a standard, GASB 72, a fair value measurement. I didn't get into that when I went through the statements. It really wasn't too significant to you. It's a FASB standard, it has been for a number of years, requiring that you actually classify your investments into a fair value measurement level. The first level being that there's readily available information. It's basically you have mutual funds, and that information is provided on a daily basis over stock exchanges. So that's the best case. Level 2, it gets a little less murkier. And level 3 is, there really is hardly anything, I guess, too. And anyway, all your investments are at the level 1, and so that's been disclosed in your financial statement. Then it goes into what are significant estimates, and we already talked about the net pension liability and the OPEB obligation. Those are the really significant ones you have. And we also identify them as the sensitive disclosures because of the size and magnitude of those obligations that you have, and especially the OPEB because it is, obviously it's not being funded at the level. It's, you're paying as you go. You did make that $50,000 additional contribution to the trust, but that's not uncommon. Most of the organizations are funding at that level, but with 18. You're not going to be allowed to do that. It's going to be similar to the pension, and you're going to have a required contribution and meet that, I think. And otherwise, it's going to be, you're going to have to really accrue it to your financial statement going forward after
So you
that.
say it's gonna be a large increase for us?
Well, no, I said it'll be about $1 million to $1.5 million, I guess I estimate. Right now, that's what it is, what the total obligation is. You've put, you've limits, so you have, you're paying 50% of it, I believe, and then after they, get on Medicare, I believe it even is reduced even more. So you've got some restrictions, though it isn't gonna grow at the rate that some of, governmental entities have basically said they're gonna just pay the retirement for everybody, all their health care, and so that's just increasing exponentially, and so you have made some, I think, prudent decisions to keep that in line, so so you can, I guess, afford it,
I'd
better
just
than.
like to point out one thing, Scott, on page 48 there, it talks about the township's net position liability. And if you look at 2014, where we were, 2015, 2016, my gosh, we can't catch these numbers, they're growing so fast.
Where are you
Again,
at now,
On
Larry? I'm
page
sorry.
48,
Okay.
township net pension liability ending.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we were at 2.1 million in 14, now we're at 3.4 million.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in 2 years.
That's, yeah. couple things, again, the discount
What
rate was,
we talked about. I just wanted the board to be aware that that's where that is. in
yeah,
the,
it's,
in the
it's,
audit. Tells you what we're doing here.
right. Yeah, I can, I guess I was expecting it, the actual fiduciary position, it was at 64% in 15, and it went down to approximately 60%. I thought it would be a lot more. I thought with the discount rate, I mean, like I said.
Thought it would be a higher percentage?
I thought you would actually go down and you would be, the assets are gonna, you only have assets that cover your liability at 60% right now. The assets at MERS are only covering that liability at a 60% level now. I thought it would go down, but that was just based on, the discount rate going down. And again, MERS had a decent year with investments, or, the stock market was, so
Well,
it
since
helped them.
November, they've had when the market started going
Yeah,
up.
yeah, but this was based at the end of the year.
Right.
So at a point in time, it could just fall apart, the day or two afterwards, and, it's just at that point in time, it looks really good, and then you have the, significant drop, and you've lost a lot of ground,
Okay.
so. Just to point out, we have to identify the misstatements, and that's presented in this audit communication letter. We just generally describe what type of misstatements were identified. Most of them have to do with, adjustments to accruals and things like that. Those are listed at the bottom of page 2. There were no unrecorded misstatements. Everything that was identified in our audit was basically adjusted and is reflected in your general ledger. So there's no unadjusted audit differences to report. We didn't have any disagreements with management. Actually, we had very good cooperation. Very good preparation for the audit this year. The records were in very good condition when we came in to do the work and so forth. So I commend your staff for getting it to us in that shape. It allows us to do our job much easier. It keeps your costs down, obviously, because you don't have as many.
So we got a discount?
Well, I mean, we don't have to bill you for a lot of extra services, I guess, or less than we have. So, that vast improvement over, the most recent
Well, we've
years.
had some change in personnel, and now
Yep,
people
yep.
are getting more comfortable in doing
Yep,
what they're doing.
and those
the
people are
staff
getting
did an
trained, and
excellent job.
you can see the results. The last page is attachment A, and these are just matters that don't rise to a level of a significant deficiency or material weakness. They're just suggestions to improve your processes. And these went over with Larry when we had our closing conference. And I believe that you're looking at them, evaluating them, and plan to implement everything. So that's my presentation. I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have. I know you've had the reports for quite a while this time, and if anything comes up throughout the year, please don't hesitate to give me a call. I know I've had some conversations with certain board members. We are required to at least extend the invitation to contact us. We sent out that pre-audit communication letter and then we list things, I guess, that, we say if you have any concerns, to let us know. It's a required element of the audit. It doesn't mean that we have any concerns ourselves, but if you have any concerns or if you want us to incorporate something into the audit process, then that's what it's for, I guess. And we appreciate any comments or suggestions you might have.
So at this time, Scott, our water and sewer department our rates are pretty good at this time?
Just from what I can tell from, the December numbers, I can't really say if anything's happened since the December
So I was just
period.
looking through the expenditure report that we got today, and that's through May 31st.
Okay,
And it seems that it's much stabler than it has been in the
Yep.
past. Our sewer fund looks very good. Our water fund is a little bit down, but our sewer fund seems to be in the positive at this point, so.
yep, and I think you've done in the past very good at staying on top of things by just increasing rates moderately, I guess, every year or so. I think that helps you stay above it, stay ahead of it.
Get behind, it's hard to catch up.
Yes.
All right, no other questions for Scott? Thank you, Scott, you did a great job, and
Thank you.
thank our staff, too. I think they did a great job in getting the information to you in a timely period. It seemed like it went a whole lot smoother this year than it did.
Yes, it has. Yeah, thank you.
Last year was a transition, so, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on. Or do we have to make a motion to accept that audit report, huh? Probably should do that.
You need a motion?
I believe we do. A motion to accept the audit review.
I'll make that motion that we accept the audit from Stewart, Bovee, and Whipple.
Support.
It's been moved and supported that we accept the audit review from Stewart, Bovee, and Whipple. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to new business 4, $249.12 sewer credit for Terrence Blank on Dolphin. And it says here that his backup sump pump has been running with his knowledge. He is requesting a 48 million sewage credit, which would come out to be $249.12. As amount of his water bill and his sewer bill would have been $347.
It's 42,000 right on me. I know they do it differently.
Well, we do this in the past, and
What's that?
it looked like Blaine Siska.
Instead of K figure total amount, it's actually 1,000. 1,000 gallons.
1,000 gallons, yeah, 48,000 gallons, yeah, not million.
It looked like Blaine checked it all out and approved it, so I'd make the motion that we award the credit for $249.12 to Terry Blank.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and a support that we allow the sewer credit of $249.12 for Mr. Terrence Blank. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Blair,
Yes.
Horn. Horn,
Yes.
Betsalis,
Yes.
Oda,
Yes.
Town, yes. Simons,
Yes. Motion carries. Next, we moved on to new business item 5, $166.08 sewer credit for Mr. Todd Nelson, who is in the audience. I think it was your sump pump water backup too, wasn't it?
Was that inspected, Larry?
I don't think it was inspected, but they brought their bills in, and you talked to Teresa, and you brought the,
She called me, well, she talked to my wife that we had 60,000 gallons that we use that month, and we never use
His
that
bill's
much.
just been,
Yes.
So then we went through and, I went through everything, trying to find a leak, and I was watching my meter, it wasn't moving, and then we got a huge rainpour, and then I was in the room and my water started coming up, and that's when I figured out that my other sump failed. I have a I actually have a 3-sump system, and the 2 other pumps failed. The one, I don't know how long it was down because I never had an issue. Actually, it went down when I was in Florida.
it's an ejector pump, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the emergency one it turns on by the water, and that's.
Yeah, the city water.
I didn't really know where the leak was until it kicked on and saw the meter running and actually heard it, so.
I'll make a motion that we allow a sewer credit of $166.08 for Mr. Todd Nelson.
I'll support that.
It's been moved and supported that we give Mr. Nelson a sewer credit of $166.08. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Betsalis,
Yes.
Boda,
Yes.
Town, yes. Blackstock,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Horn,
yes.
Simons,
Yes, motion carries. Sorry you had to wait through our audit report, but,
You got caught up in all the politics.
yeah.
It's like watching paint dry on.
Okay, moving on to Resolution 08-2017, increased budget $68,050. This is what Mr. Hoskins was talking about. budget amendments that we have to do. And what this 68,000 was mostly the toolcat that we bought it, because we allow so much money into the DPW, which is roughly $75,000. They don't have a budget. We just fund it with the 75. Well, then when we took this out of there, remember how before we had that rental, that we said we had this fund? Well, it's really transferring out of the general fund to put it in the DPW. So that's what this is, and I can read the resolution if you like. I believe it's this first one. I got them mixed up. I got 8, I gotta get. Somebody have 8? I got 9. I don't know why
I got 8.
Right here.
Would you?
08217,
Yeah, I got 9 there. I don't know why I don't have 8.
resolution 08-217, amend the 2017 budget. The following resolution was offered by myself and supported by a member. Whereas a result of unanticipated changes in revenues and necessary expenditures, it is necessary to modify the aforesaid budget. And whereas there is a legitimate need for the amendment of the 2017 budget due to unforeseen changes in the expenditures, and whereas the East China Township Board has reviewed the need to increase the general fund, building inspection department, and the Township Capital Projects Fund, and therefore be it resolved, the East China Township Board of Trustees approves the resolution to amend the 2017 as attached. All resolutions and parts of resolutions insofar as they conflict with the provisions of this resolution be and the same hereby are rescinded.
I'll support the resolution.
All right, it's been moved in support that we do this amendment for $68,050. Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Boda,
Yes.
Town, yes. Blackstock,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Horn,
Yes.
Pat Salas.
Yes.
Simons, yes.
Simons, yes.
Okay. All right, next we have Resolution 09-2017. And this is basically we're just moving money from one side to the other. Within the budget, it's not actually a increase. We're taking it from other line items and moving it. You see, we took it out of the contingency fund, which is built into the budget every year. We put that contingency fund in there. A lot of it has to do with the MERS and the increase. That's what's driving a lot of this. Because we had that, like I said, from 21 point something to 26. And we didn't budget for that in our budget for our payment on our labor. So that's what that's all about. Resolution 09-2017, amend the 2017 general fund budget, East China Township, St. Clair County. Minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of the Township Board of East China, Charter Township, County of St. Clair, Michigan, held in the Township Hall on the 19th day of June, 2017 at 7:30. The following resolution was offered by myself, whereas as a result of the accounting adjustments and retirement percentage increases, it is necessary to modify the aforesaid budget. Whereas there is a legitimate need for the amendment of the 2017 budget due to the unforeseen changes in the expenditures, and whereas the East China Township Board has reviewed the need to increase and decrease within the general fund budget. Therefore, be it resolved, the East China Township Board of Trustees approves the resolution to amend the budget. All resolutions and parts of resolution insofar as they conflict with the provisions of this resolution will be the same hereby are rescinded.
I'll support that.
All right. Okay, is there any further discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Blackstock,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Horn,
Yes.
Pat Salas.
Yes.
Boda,
Yes.
Town, yes. Simons.
Yes, motion carries. All right, moving on to, excuse me, unfinished business, the Bell River sewer refunds. Since I've got back from vacation, we've had lengthy conversations about this. I don't personally feel at this time that we're ready to just give those funds out in the proportions that we've got. I think we need some more work on it. I'm talking to different people, and I think we're gonna have to sit down and go over this a little bit more. We wanna make sure we do this right when we do it. We only wanna do it one time. I mean, this was something that happened 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I guess it would be. And we wanna make sure we got this right. And the records are not all that clear, but we're working on them. So I would make a motion that we table that till the next meeting.
I'll support that motion.
Does anybody have any discussion about that, that you wanted to discuss now? Do you think that's the way we should be doing it, tabling it?
If
I don't have
you're,
a problem with tabling it right now, but I would like to get a little group or a committee together and start working on this right away.
I would suggest,
I'd like, this information you said had come from Mark and from Sandy.
right,
I'd like them to be two of the members that are gonna sit in on the committee also, and let us know how they came up with it. I would like to be a member on this committee because I am involved with it, so, and I was involved from the beginning with it, so. But I would suggest that we sit down as soon as possible to try to get all this taken care of.
and I went over that today too, and they said they did that on a per-foot basis, is how they accumulated those numbers.
I was on the board at that time, and I'd like to be on that committee if I could.
Yes, yes. Anybody else want to be on it, or?
I have a question, like, why did it take 20 years for this to come back up? Like, why wasn't
We
it
had to
re-
wait till it was paid for.
What
I
it is a
understand.
portion, what it is there's three different sections of that sewer that was run.
Right.
We're referring pretty much now to the third section of it. And what it was certain people paid 100%, other people we let out not pay anything at all.
Okay.
Because it was done by a special assessment, so the people that requested the special assessment paid 100%. So until the township recovers their money, they put in $63,000.
I
So
understand.
until the township recovers their $63,000, nobody else would get a refund coming back.
I understand.
So now at this point, they're saying that the money has been recovered, it's just a matter of where did it go and was it actually recovered? So it's, and then and then the people that did not tap in, once they were on a septic or something like that, once their septic fails, they have to tap into our sewer system. If they split or subdivide their property, they have to tap into the sewer system. So it could take, well, it's taken 20 years, and there has been 3 developments there, I think? 3 developments have come.
And we want to know how it was done, the new houses that were built there, if they were done properly too.
Larry, I think we had one property was split, and
We
they
did.
that
We
should
did.
have been paid in full when that was split. And it wasn't.
So that's what I'm saying, we got a lot of things we got to work out. As we got more involved in this, I thought it was more cut-dried. But when you read the thing,
There's
it's
a
not
lot more.
cut-dried.
A lot more to it, Larry.
Yeah. So we'll table that. So all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries to table. Moving on to announcements. The township office will be closed July 4th for Independence Day. My question is, should we cancel that meeting if we don't have a lot on the agenda?
Yeah.
It is the Monday before the 4th of July. Why don't I use my discretion? If there's nothing that comes up within a few days of the meeting, I'll put out an email or I'll get a hold of everybody to cancel the meeting.
That'd be fine.
Let them know, because some people might want to get away for that weekend.
Because we agreed when we did the schedule that we would, I'd hate to have somebody have to stay home from the holiday to come to this meeting. But if we don't have anything urgent, then we'll probably cancel it. Okay, board member comments, Mr. Horn.
I have none tonight.
Mr. Salas?
Nothing this evening, Lori, thank you.
Mr. Boda?
A couple of items. Talking to a neighbor, we got one of the neighbors has a new street light with the new lights in it.
Oh, I wasn't aware they did any of them yet.
Well, supposedly this has got the new light in it. What was it?
LEDs.
LEDs?
LED, where is this at?
LED. Point Drive is about 4 doors south of my house.
Okay.
And the person says that I guess he used that street light as a beacon to find his driveway at night every time, and supposedly he says it's now a dimmer light, and I thought they were supposed to be brighter.
Yeah, I thought so too. I know they're supposed to be cheaper to operate. I don't know if they
Well, let's
were
hope
light
so.
or not.
Anyways, he claims it's a dimmer.
Oh, well, maybe, I am not aware that they've done any, because we've been hounding them to get them going on it, and they keep saying, well, we paid our $27,000 into it, that had to be paid, we've sent the check, and we're just waiting on DTE to get in here to do it.
Maybe the bulb's getting old and it's just
Yeah.
dimming a little bit.
Huh?
Maybe
The
like
bulb's
it was,
getting
that
old.
Maybe the old bulb is getting,
Yeah, well, I'll have them check it out,
It's
Don.
getting old like me.
You know, I noticed that light brighter, that one on Point Drive. I don't know where it's at. It's down around, south of you, between you and me.
yeah,
I've noticed it brighter.
it's brighter. Well, they're saying it's dimmer.
Dimmer.
I'd notice it brighter, but maybe it's the way I'm looking at it
Maybe
too.
we're not looking at the same light. But this one is between us and you.
And the other thing that I've been harping on now for, I don't know, last couple, 3 meetings, on 29, they have those 2 signs. As you're driving south towards Marine City, south of Francis Street, they got 2 signs out there in people's lawns because there's no shoulder. It's got 2 signs that are saying, no driving on shoulders. Well, they can't because there's no shoulders, and we've been harping about that for 2 years.
There ain't no shoulder.
And I would assume those signs could probably be better used in some other location that they'd like to use that in, but
Okay,
again, the first one, as you're going south, is it where Gaverson's Boat Livery used to be?
oh yeah,
It's
Riverside
just-
Boats,
Yeah, it's just about across from his location. And the next one's further south, about 40 yards down the road. There's 2 signs. They're both in somebody's front yard.
okay,
Driving on the shoulder and no shoulder, so I guess I'll keep harping upon it till they go.
well, they
down
were
and
probably
check.
there before they
Well, yeah,
put
they
the
were
curbs
there,
in.
they were there before they put the curb and gutter in, and somebody decided not to take them out, so.
Okay,
But if you got,
I know I called on those one other time, and I don't know why they never did it.
Yeah.
We'll find out,
unless you give me the phone number of the signage person, and I'll call.
yeah, okay,
That's all I have, thank you.
all righty. Mr. Town?
No comment?
Nothing, thank you.
No.
I just got a couple of things. I'd like to get a committee, at the last meeting, we opened up these engineering bids. They're still sitting on my desk. I think we should have maybe a couple board members, and I had thought maybe a couple of our superintendents to look at these things and narrow it down to a couple of, unless you want to interview all 5 of these engineers.
That's what we did the last time, and it took us a long time.
Plus, I mean, I think if we get 2 or 3 members to look at these, maybe we can narrow it down to 2 or 3 and interview them. What's the board's feelings on
Does
this?
have any figures in your sign?
Did they provide,
What's that?
Did they provide any figures in those bids for anything, or?
I didn't go through them.
did they provide enough packets for everybody?
Yep.
Or a
Yep,
certain
there's
amount?
like enough copies for everybody.
I mean, I just assume hand them all out. I mean, if we've got them, hand them out to.
Okay, I can get them to you. All right, and then, what, everybody then do an opinion on it?
To that, or 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, I like your idea, Larry, forming a little committee of 2 or 3 people and with your
I mean,
supervisors.
you know,
and-
like our plant superintendents, they are the ones that work with this weight
Correct.
trim all the time. I mean, to me, they should be getting, they would have the more pertinent questions to ask. Who would like to be on the committee?
I'll get them.
Herb,
some
I'll be
people
on
with
it.
Some engineering background.
Tom? I,
Yeah, there we go. There's a gentleman here that said
Yeah.
he'd be on the committee.
he can be on the committee.
I'll be on the committee, smart.
12 years,
Huh?
the 12 years.
Engineering? Oh, we'd like to have you.
For water, sewer, drain ditches, everything, design, under.
This is what we're doing.
Give him some competition.
And running the sewer plant and the water plant. And All right, well, keep him, I don't know what your schedule is, but we got Herb in town, and we can get the supervisors, and if Mr. Nelson would like to do it, that'd be great. It's nice to have residents involved, so. That was the one thing I had, so we'll get that set up with these two. And then the other thing, that issue that came up with that resident that was here last on the Bell River, we're looking into that, and then we're gonna turn it over to the appropriate people. My other question, before we had the audit, after myself going through this audit twice already, I think we should really look at the rate increases on the water again. I think it's like what Mr. Hoskins said, that we should stay proactive and keep raising it a little bit at a time. I know it's pretty solvent right now. I had conversations this afternoon with the Sewer and Water Authority, and they're talking about, they want to, what did he say? They wanted some computer software? I think you're gonna have it at your meeting tomorrow night, so we don't have to do it today, but I think we should keep that on the burner, that we should be looking at that. I don't want it to go into the red.
I would like to wait to see maybe till August to get through our
That's
busy
fine.
water season coming up. I mean, people are gonna use a lot of water now in July and August. They use it to water, so I mean, that's gonna increase
Flow here.
our flow, and it's gonna increase our budget coming in.
And we're doing
So
a
I'd
lot
like to
with
wait to see where we're at.
finding leaks and stuff like that too, you know, we've been really active on that. Yeah, that's fine, I just think we just can't forget about it.
No,
We gotta
that's why
keep
when
watching.
I asked them, we weren't, in looking at the revenue and expenditure
bad.
report through May, it's not that bad. We're
Right,
still
but
at
he's
July
looking
and August.
since December 31st.
Well, that's our slow time, December till now.
No, but I mean, we're already half a year gone.
Right.
So we gotta keep on top of it, because
Right.
if we wait August, then we're gonna be 9 months out of it.
But I think you'll see the figures a lot better coming in
Right.
at that time.
And I appreciate you guys looking at that. With that, I have no other things, so I guess a motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:37.
I'll support.
It's been moved and supported that we adjourn at 8:37. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.